Hello, everyone listening on YouTube and watching on Spotify. Also, it says live streaming, so a little bit concerned that it is going live somewhere. But if anyone's watching live, welcome to. So today is another episode of NRG Insights. At the moment, we're doing the Rising Stars episodes, which means that we're speaking to up-and-coming people in financial services, whether that be lending, broking, lawyers, marketing, anything or everywhere in between. Because one of the major concerns that we have at the moment is getting young people into the industry, and I don't think we ask them enough as to why they are or aren't, or the challenges that they face. So, long story short, it's the Rising Stars. So today I've got Peter Maina from NS Lending. Thanks for joining me, Pete.
No, thank you for having me. I've been watching it, and I'm quite happy to be here, to be honest. Yeah.
Good. Well, you know, this is the pinnacle. This is as good as it gets now. You've made it. So, people that don't know, talk to me about your career up to where you are now as a BDM for MS.
Yeah. So I started. I can't remember when it was. I started a couple of years ago. So I was at a bus stop. I was working an insurance job, which I didn't really enjoy. My mate's dad owned a mortgage firm and saw me at the bus stop. Was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, just working insurance, finished uni. Not sure what I want to do next." He goes, No, don't do that. Meet me tomorrow. We'll have a chat." And then, that was my mortgage journey. So my first job was I was in the remortgaging team. So I was cold calling. So we had like a list of all the previous mortgages that had been written. Could have been 5 years ago, could have been 2 years ago. So it wasn't really cold leads, but some of them were cold, some of them were hot. And it'd just be a phone call. "Marcus, we arranged your mortgage 2 years ago. Your fixed rate's coming up to an end. Can we have a look at your options now? Before you hang up, just want to let you know your mortgage payment's going to go from X to this. I need 5 minutes of your time. We'll go through your options. It's free of charge. Let's have a chat." Now, 9 times out of 10, people will be like, "Great." Sometimes they'll be like, "Don't talk to me. Why are you ringing my phone? You did a rubbish job a couple of years ago." I don't want to put.
Don't know he was there for the system. You don't know how good job he did.
Yeah. But the good thing was that the ones that did want to have a chat, it was always worthwhile.
So, was that broking or lending?
That was broken. I worked for a mortgage broker. I learned a mortgage broker. And we did that. And then I did that for I think it was about maybe a year and a bit. Moved on to new build qualifying, where we would go and sit in a show home. New build leads would come in. You talk to them face to face, go through their financials, pre-qualify them, and then pass it on. Did that for a while, and then obviously eventually moved on to advising, and then that came to an end, and I stumbled across bridging finance. Now I was aware of it, but I didn't really know too much about it. And then I remember applying for the job at West One, and I had this. Obviously, I'm a Christian, so I had this thing where I have undeniable belief in myself and in my faith that I will succeed, right? So I don't do anything half-heartedly. If I want to do something, I go all in. So applied to be a TBDM. I knew I could deal with people because obviously I've played football, I've played loads of different sports. I've worked in so many different industries. I know how to deal with people. So I thought, you know what? Let me give it a go. Let's see what happens. And West One, after doing my research on the firm, they did all the products. So I was only aware of buy-to-lets. I already knew how to do resi, but I didn't know how to do bridging, and I didn't know how to deal with brokers specifically because I went from sort of customer facing to dealing the other side, right? But because I had mates that were advisors and I'd done it, I kind of knew what they liked, what they didn't like. The only difference was I was making relationships from a telephone. And I think the foundation that my previous job at TBM has given me a solid platform, because if I could build a relationship without seeing your face on the phone, as soon as I see your face, then it's on a brain, right? And I'm in. So do
you know what? I mean, that's really important, and especially for those kind of young people coming through, because everyone wants to be a BDM straight away, right? Everyone wants to get out there. They think it's quite it is a cool job, but there's way more to it than it involves. And having that steady, even if you come from admin, you don't have to have done a sales job, anything. There's loads of roles that can sort you out technically before you get to do it. Everyone wants to kind of be 5 years in front now, and it's really tough, isn't it? And you've done it the right way. You went from mortgage broking, or even like that kind of qualifying for broking, then internal BDM to get up to where you are now. You've still done it in a short space of time, but you do need that, don't you? That kind of grounding.
Yeah, I think it's identifying transferable skills, right? So because I've gone through sports and dealing with different types of people from all walks of life, I identified that I had the transferable skills to be a BDM, but I knew I wasn't going to be a BDM straight away. It's kind of like a slow journey, and you have to have the patience to do the time before you then go, right, I feel like I'm ready to do it. Because the worst thing you want to do, and I've seen it happen, loads of people jump into it, then you're like, oh my God, I've got targets, I've got people to see, who am I calling, where am I going? And it just becomes a bit overwhelming. So I think my progression has been quite natural, and in the sense of I've kind of gone through different hoops and different experiences, which gave me a solid foundation to be where I am today.
Good. Well, let's talk about that solid foundation as well. So talk to me about the difference between you moving up the ranks to maybe people that don't. What do you think you need, especially as a young person in this industry? What do you need that kind of that's going to separate you from being able to get up to the BDM? Because the pool does get smaller, or the jobs get smaller as you go up. There's less and less of them as you move up the ladder. So, and that'll be the same as you become a senior, etc. So, what do you think kind of stands you out from the crowd?
I think you need to, first of all, you need to be resilient, because it's not as easy as going, here's a product guide, go sell it. I think you have to believe in what you're selling first and foremost, and you also have to know what you're selling. I think that's one thing that's definitely needed. And then just have an idea of where you want to end up. I think you need to, one, work hard. That's a non-negotiable. Everyone sees the BDM lifestyles. Oh, he's at this event. He's at this event. Yeah. Oh, they've done a LinkedIn post about completion. It's not as easy as that, because there's a lot of background work that goes on behind me. It's not as easy as, Marcus, you're a broker in London, can I have this deal, please? It's not, because think about it, right? You got one broker and you get 469 lenders in the market trying to win your deal, right? So you just have to be able to build the relationships. But I think the most important thing, I'd say, you have to be resilient, you have to work hard, and you have to be adaptable, because different brokers have different needs and at different times, right? So one thing that served me well is understanding who I'm dealing with. Now, that could be at the first time they call me, or it could be the 10th time they call me. Making sure that the service that they receive is always at the best it can be, irrespective of how I feel, whether at that day, whether my car's broken. You have to kind of pop back to the side and go, right, I'm here to do a job for my specific broker and make sure he's looked after. It doesn't make me look human, but it's just being able to adapt to what they need, irrespective of how I feel.
I say all the time with BDMs, I say, and it's the same with us in the office, like the person you're speaking to next, that's the only 5 minutes you're going to get with them that day. They do not give a shit about what just happened in your last 10 calls. Like you have to be 100% energy for everyone, don't you? Because all they know is, oh, that guy was sort of half-assed this, this conversation. So you're right. It is a bit like not inhuman. That's not right. But you've got to block out everything else. That next 10 minutes is the most important 10 minutes for that person, because that's how you're speaking to them. So as BDMs, we've always got to have that in the back of our minds, haven't we? Like the energy levels you have to show are all the same for everyone.
Yeah, you've got to block out the noise. That's how I say it. And I think you have to have a target. Now, the target for that one phone call isn't always necessarily winning the deal, right? So what brokers love is someone who's available, someone who they can discuss something with. And I always see a phone call not as a challenge, but I try to find a solution to the problem they have. Yeah. Now, sometimes I'm not going to win every single deal. That's impossible. Otherwise, I'd be the pinnacle marker and I'd run the whole industry. It doesn't work like that, right? So you can't win everything, and it just goes back down to So it just goes back down to, once you know what you're selling and you know how to sell it, every time you get a phone call, you need to identify the problems the broker has and what the solutions are. Now, every time that there is a solution, there's some things that I call, they're like, I'm trying to word it. What's the word about being rude? You
can be rude on it.
No.
No,
I call them roadblocks. Let's call them roadblocks, right? So every time you a broker tells you, I want to do X, Y, and Z, you identify the solution, but then they can go, well, I can go get it this elsewhere, or I can do this elsewhere. And it's a case of just adding value to the broker to make sure that you can do the best.
We always say that about adding value, right? It's because there's only one cheapest. There's only one cheapest in the cut. There's nothing you can do about that. That one, and there's, like you say, 280 odd other people. So there has to be more than price. But I do believe most brokers see that now as well, don't they? They know you can deliver. They know you've done it before for them, especially as you start building up those kind of pipelines of people with regular work. There's so much more than price in there.
I think I always ask the question, right? So most brokers will tell you what's important to the client, right? But just in case they don't, there's no harm in asking the question, what's important to the client on this specific deal? Is it price? Is it the speed? Or is it just simple as execution? Or sometimes they might just go, look, I just want an easy ride.
I just want it done. Which is most people. I bet if you ask most developers, it isn't on price. It's not that, I know margins are tighter and tighter at the moment, but I honestly think I just want it done. I don't want to hear about it every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I want my broker telling me that the money's going to be in my bank, a week on Thursday. I bet that must be the number one. And even though everyone will say price because everyone wants it a bit cheaper,
Yeah.
it's not, it's deliverability, isn't it?
Yeah, ultimately, your deal's only a deal once it completes. Now, you can post about, I've got 100 leads in and I've done X, Y, and Z, but a deal's only a deal once it completes. So ultimately, the only thing that clients and brokers only really care about is just the deal completing. Now, how you get there, obviously, there's mechanics to the journey and making sure that goes smoothly. But 9 times out of 10, they just want the deals to complete.
Yeah. Nice. So let's go back after that's your life as a BDM. Let's go through that kind of what it was like to join the industry as a young chap as well. I mean, I know we've touched on this, and it's really hard for me to go through these conversations as a middle-aged white man to go like, what is it like? I mean, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about like you haven't got lots of people like you to look up to in the industry. It's very, very kind of
Yeah. So one thing that when I joined West One and I've done my research, good friend of mine, to be fair, Michael Grant, just seeing him to where he's got to, and keep in mind, obviously, he's been in the industry for a very long time.
Yeah, he's a wicked leader as well.
Yeah, you won't mind me saying. So I remember when I joined, and I kind of had the conversation with myself about, okay, this is where you are now. Where are you trying to get to? And I always aspired to be a BDM. And I remember like first couple of days, I picked his brain and I was like, look, obviously, I just want to borrow you for 5 minutes. I just want to know what does it take to get to where you're at? And he spent some time on me. He even rentals me now as we speak. But it was really important to see people doing it because for me, obviously being a young black man in the industry, I wanted to know that it's possible. Once I knew it was possible, all I had to do is work out the how. And then he gave me some golden nuggets. He sort of said to me, look, one, you have to study what you're selling. You have to know your ins and outs, and you have to be reliable. There's nothing worse than a BDM who's not reliable and doesn't do what they say they're going to do. Yeah. And then he said, you have to be adaptable. Different brokers have different needs. Once you've got that on lock, the rest will follow. And he said, it's less important to chase the money now. You need to chase not the profile, but you need to chase the hard work first. And then the rest will naturally come to fruition.
So chase money as well. Like money is a result of hard work. Money is a result of a good job. Money is a result of all the little 1% that you do. Yeah. That's what makes the money. But if you chase money, it's next to impossible because you're thinking about the pound.
And I remember like the patch that I got when I first started at West One, like it wasn't dead, but it didn't really have much traction. And I remember I was making cold calls. There'd be days I'd be getting frustrated, and he used to say to me, look, just keep going. Like you have to keep grafting. You always have to look at the bigger picture. And also, the hard work does pay off. Like, you have to remain consistent. And it goes back to my point about resilience, right? So, yes, there's pressure. Yes, there's targets. But if you put in the work, you will reap the rewards eventually. Like,
I always say to people about this, the activity, right? Like, especially at the moment, there's no, like, hiding from it. The industry is tough. It's very tough for everyone. People are fighting over deals. It's hard. It's the same in the recruitment side of things. Everything is just a little bit harder. But as long as you put in the activity, it will, and even if you're not hitting your targets at the beginning, activity, it happens. Do you know what I mean? It just eventually comes through. But you're constantly worried about the end result. It's really, really tough. But it's front end. If I make 100 phone calls, I will eventually do this. It's just
100%.
And if it gets harder, we have to make 150. Then we have to make 150. It's just
And you know what? If you are doing that and it's not working, then you look at how is it that you're doing it. Does that make sense? Are you calling brokers in the middle of half term? Right, they've all got families. No one's going to answer you, just to see what I mean. But back to the point of, we were going off track, but going back to the point of being a young black man in the industry, seeing that it was possible and seeing that it can be done, really, really pushed me, to be fair, because I knew straight away, like, all right, I want to be a BDM. That's what I want to do. So I went up eventually. I never put a time frame on it. I had faith that I could do it. I had belief that I could do it. But I also knew that I had to make sure that my foundation was solid because brokers can tell when someone knows what they're talking about and when they don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, they spot bullshit from us, don't they?
Yeah. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with saying, actually, Mr. Broker, I'm not too sure right now. Let me go and find out for you. And another trick that he taught me is that it's good to know the people that make the decisions, right? I'm not talking about the CEOs. I'm talking about head of underwriting, right? What do they like? How do they like to shape a deal? And what don't they like? So whenever I had something that was like a bit outside of criteria, I knew, for example, head of credit loved additional security, right? So if I wanted to do something and I had the additional security, it was an easier conversation to have.
I already know what you want, but that's understanding the whole business as well. I do say that about, and Michael's absolutely right. The way he's taught you that, I think it's so strange. You go into some businesses and they don't know how underwriting works, and underwriting don't know how sales works. They're all fighting against each other. But actually, if you took the time to understand the whole journey as to how hard it is, how hard it is for a whole fucking deal to go through from developer to broker to you guys to underwrite and then to credit, it's such a long journey. But if you have much more empathy for the rest of the journey, don't you? If you actually go, do you know what? I understand why underwriters do that. I understand why that. We're not fighting against each other all the time. They actually need that. They're trying to keep the business safe. Do you know what I mean? It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, which is obviously goes back to my point, understanding what you're selling and how you get it through, right? So going through that whole transition, once I knew how head of credit thinks and, head of sales think, then I could align what I was selling to my brokers. So I knew what type of deals I could do. I knew when I could push the boundaries and I knew when I couldn't push the boundaries. And also just not being afraid to say no. Like sometimes I'll get a phone call, I want to do this, and I'll just know straight away, based on what you've given me, it's not for us. And I always try to, and I get in trouble sometimes because I try to tell the broker, look, I can't do it. However, based on my knowledge of the industry, they might be able to do it. And I never guarantee anything.
Brokers will always remember the guy that said, look, I can't do it, but have you spoke to so-and-so?
Yeah. And also, BDMs, I don't know, I've got a lot of BDM friends, right? And you could tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Yes, we're all competing for the same business, but we can help each other, right? I've got people that can do things that I can't do.
And it puts you both ways. Standing, like there's a different level of respect for someone. If I say, look, I don't deal with that, but if you speak to so-and-so, same in recruitment, there's probably only 2 recruiters I would ever send people to because there's only a couple that I respect enough. But at the same time, if I go, look, I can't deal with that, speak to so-and-so, all of a sudden the respect you've been given, you're uplifted because I'm not desperate for your business, but I really want to help you, it puts you in a different level, doesn't it?
Yeah, because do you know what? If you tell a broker, look, one for us, hope to help on the next one, that does nothing for them. Like, that doesn't...
They've already steamed 5 of those emails, haven't they? Because if you can't help them, chances are it's not a vanilla deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the next time you call them, they're less likely to answer. However, and this is, I've made a point of understanding the industry that I work in and also knowing what lenders do and don't do, right? So because I've got that knowledge base roughly of what people can and can't do, if I give that broker an alternative solution, and look, it might not work, but sometimes it does work. Yeah. And then what they'll do is, obviously, once that goes through, guess what? I'll be the first person they call, whether I can do the deal or not. Irrespective of whether I can do it, they'll call Pete. Look, Pete, I've got this on my desk. I know you might not be able to do it, but who do you think can do it? And I always give recommendations, and I always tell the broker, look, I can't guarantee they'll do it, but this is what, based on what I know, go over here and see if they can help you.
Yeah. It gives you, like you said before, about added value. If we can add value to someone's business before they spend money with us, it's fucking brilliant. You've already you've done half the job already. We're constant about that. Whether it's like recommending lawyers, recommending brokers, if it's lenders, whatever it is. If we can add value to anyone's business before they spend any money with us at all, you've already justified why you're there, and you're already head and shoulders above people that go, I don't really deal with
it. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So back to this is just it dawned on me, and it's only because I've never really thought about it. So obviously you have Michael Grant to look up to. You haven't got lots of people, lots of black guys in the industry that you look and go, that's it. I've never really thought about it. Like I don't think I've ever looked and gone, I want to be that guy. But there's always been people that have looked like me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's never even been in my psyche, but is that quite important to you look and go like, there's not many people that look like me in this industry, or is it just a thing that it's changing, it's evolving?
So it's important because you feel it's possible, right? So it's either like in little things, like when you was a kid and watching football or rugby, whatever your sport was, right? When you see someone that looks like you feel like, yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying, it's not the be all and end all. It's not important because you could always be the first one.
Yeah, that's what my point was. But you're aware of it though.
There's always outliers there. But I think for me, having a mentor who's been there, done it for so long, makes it easier for me anyway. Not in the sense of I don't have to work hard or I don't have to cut my own teeth.
Yeah, it doesn't take away your work ethic or the value or what you have to do. It's just
Yeah.
nice to see. How he said
Yeah.
that, I'm thinking out loud. Mine was about coming from a poor education side of things, or like a, council estate type thing. So mine maybe not. I never looked at guys who looked at me, but if I'd seen someone and you heard their story,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh, I didn't come from money," or whatever it was, I suppose that is similar in the sense that, okay, cool. So I know it is possible. If you didn't go to private school, you can still do really well for
100%, yeah. And it's about drawing inspiration from everyday life, really. Like, you don't necessarily need that, but generally you can pick up bits from everyone. Like I always say, as conversation with Jamie the other day, I always say that everyone that we speak to or come across in life has something to give you that you don't have, right? Now, it could just be as simple as just smiling at someone or asking an extra question, right? So asking a broker, how's your day today, or how's your weekend, or whatever, that makes a difference to someone. Now, it might seem like such a mundane question, but that could generally make a difference to someone's day. So, yeah.
I think, do you know what, I think my mum that says that you're always one question away from getting the right answer. So you just do those nice, and some of them, like you say, they're a bit inane, but you just keep the conversation going and leads on to something else. And that's another reason. And I know, obviously, JP's your boss, who I've got, much so as Michael. You've been very blessed with the people that you've worked with in regards to kind of sales directors. But I mean, how important? Let's talk about that rather than me blowing smoke up JP's ass. How important has that been for you to have those kind of people? And do you see that as a role for you in the future when that kind of the mentorship side of things?
Yeah, do you know what? I do, because I feel like I have a responsibility for the next generation. Now, I have this big thing about myself that I love helping people. Like, even when I was a TBDM and I was only a couple months in and new people joined, I was willing to share my golden nuggets and just help them along the journey. And that's always bode well for me in a sense.
That's why you're flying this industry as well, because it has to be a natural trait to want to help people. Because if it's forced, it's fucking obvious. If it's not, you come across so much better. If you want to help people, it's so important.
So, I don't know. I love helping people purely because it comes back tenfold, right? Yeah. So even when I've had like new colleagues join, they might be covering a different patch, and in one sense we're competing. I just want to see people do well, and that's always helped me out. Even like from the point of how I even got into the industry, because yes, he's my mate's dad, but because we got on so well, even on the personal note, he had no hesitation when it came to hiring me, because he always knew that this guy actually wants to help people. I still get
help people. You're already above the people you're going to speak to.
Yeah, do you know, I still get messages now from clients that I helped like 7 years ago get their house, like just giving me updates and stuff. And even, especially in the industry that we're in, we all know that everyone knows each other, right? Yeah. And if I can, because I have a responsibility to help the next generation, if I can help someone become whatever it is, whether it's the next big thing or help them along their journey, I know that I've done my bit. And I don't know, eventually, it's a good question that you ask where I want to be, because I don't know if the sales director stuff's for me. I'm not sure yet, but I know that.
I'd say if you're a sales director and you speak to JP or Michael or anyone like that, is that want to help people? Because inherently as salespeople, we can be a bit selfish. We've got targets, we make money. The more my targets are directly on me. But if you have that natural trait to want to help people, it is a really, really obvious trait. And you'll see it when you speak to sales directors. It is an obvious trait of that next thing, because we're not all built like that. Some of us, salespeople, we are what we want to win for us. So you wanting to win for other people is a big trait of that in the future. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think eventually, maybe. I think for now, I just want to be the best version of myself that I can be. Yeah. Reach. And the sky's the limit, I suppose. Just be.
It's the same thing before, wasn't it? You've got to have a loose plan. At the same time, just keep fucking working hard. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep keeping everyone happy. Keep helping people. And I think that stuff comes organically. But I don't want to blow smoke up your ass, but I just think that what you're saying about how to help people, I've been in it a long time. And these are the guys that come through are the ones that naturally want to help people, because it's so organic for them. They're not having to work. Like, it must be mentally exhausting having to pretend you want to help people. You know what I mean? Yeah, so if you actually love doing it, it's much better.
Yeah, and also I feel like, because I've had so many like different versions, just to touch on the people as well. Like, I remember I was speaking to Andrew Ferguson, he was at West One as well before when I was on. Even Matt Watson, because these guys had been there and done it for such a long time. The fact that they were even willing to spend 5-10 minutes with me to make me a better person, I was like, well, why can't I do that for the next person? It doesn't cost anything. Yes, it might take me.
It makes us feel good as well. It's an inherent human trait. Like, you help someone for nothing. you walk away thinking like, oh, cool, I've given a bit back because someone's helped me before. It's just it's a nice feeling. So in that case, it's selfish, you know, because you feel good.
Yeah, I thought everything we do selfish to some degree, but we're not into that one.
No, but it is like, it's a nice trait to have, and like I'm so blessed that I get to. We're in similar circles that you go out with the same people all the time, and you meet people, but everyone just wants everyone to be successful. Everyone that wants to help each other, everyone wants to see other people win, and I think those are the guys that are in it for the long term. I also believe you're a bit of a magnet for that as well. If you genuinely feel like that, you magnetize yourself to be around people like that too. Yeah. So maybe there are a lot of knobheads in this industry. I just don't to see them because I think I'm blessed to speak to the guys who want to help. But that's good. I've taken you longer than I said I would, but I really want to actually finish on what you said before about the mentoring. But I'm not. I always ask the same question. But if you can help anyone at the moment looking to get into the industry, similar to yourself, you know, like you've got all the right character traits, or you want to get in. What's the one bit of advice you think that can push people into getting to where they need to be in finance?
Just don't be scared. Like, send that message. You know, if you see someone on LinkedIn who's in a position or whatever, just send it. Like, I believe that it's hard for people to buy into you if you don't buy into yourself. Like, if you don't have this inherent belief that you're going to succeed, then it's going to be difficult for you. And also, don't be scared to hear no. Like, bear in mind, this is obviously my first field role that I've had, but because I knew that I was, you know, I'm going to be successful and I believe it. I'm not where I want to be, of course, but it's easy for people to buy into you if you believe in yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, and don't forget, in sales, like I said earlier, people can smell bullshit from a mile away, right? So, you know, you can fake it till you make it, but really, well and truly, like, just put in the work, and I'd say just don't be scared.
Yeah.
Like, and also, just reach out to people that you want to speak to. Like, you've got nothing to lose. What's the worst they can do?
And you're right. And you know what? All those people will help you. You'll be surprised how many. You look at people. People are on a pedestal in this industry quite easy, don't you? Because you look at it and actually drop them a message. They'll happily have a chat with you. They'll happily help you out.
100%. And I think it's also have an idea what you want to do, because, you know, I was lucky enough to have the foundation that I've had, which gave me insight into different aspects of what we do in lending. But have an idea of what you want to do. And if you can find someone who's doing it now, send the message. If not, then obviously just ask the question, you know. Yeah. I think the willingness to learn is probably more important than anything else in our industry. Because if you're not willing to, you have to be coachable or teachable. I don't want to sound like I'm some sort of guru, because I'm not. No. I'm speaking about my experiences, but having that willingness to learn bodes well in anything that you do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to be interested. If you're interested, it makes it easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Amazing, mate. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today. Thank you, everyone watching and listening. I think it's live somewhere, because there's a button upstairs that says it's live. We've never done that before, so someone might be watching already. But I appreciate your time, Pete, as always. If people want to get hold of you, obviously all your socials and MS's socials will be on ours. But what's the best way to contact you? Don't say your phone number out loud, because there's a lot of weirdos on Spotify.
No. Just you can have a WhatsApp me, email. BDMs do not have working hours, so WhatsApp's probably best, to be fair. But just if I can do anything to help, or if I can give an insight to anything, just drop me a message.
I hope people do. I genuinely hope people do. If young people listen to it and hope off the back of it, I think it's really helpful, especially with again, you guys are quite blessed with the young people in bridging and stuff, that you get to see each other. But I just think we need more and more people like you in the industry. I don't think that we can get that without people asking the question and realising it's feasible. So I hope they do reach out. But cool, amazing, mate. I appreciate your time. Go on.
No, I said top man. Appreciate you as always. Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for watching and listening. It's another episode of NRG Insights. Cheers, Peter.
Cheers, mate. Bye.